The regulars made jokes about her. Slow Karen, they'd call her, because every movement was measured, every latte like art. Some left extra tips when her hands shook, pitying the old woman. But that morning, when the masked man screamed, "Everything in the register," Karen's hands stopped shaking, and the next 90 seconds reminded everyone that Navy SEALs weren't always men. Welcome to Silent Valor Stories. Before we begin this powerful tale of hidden strength and shattered stereotypes, tell me, where are you watching from today? And if you believe female veterans deserve the same recognition as their brothers, hit that subscribe button. Tuesday morning at the Hillcrest Starbucks in San Diego started like any other. The morning fog rolled in from the Pacific, blanketing Balboa Park in gray mist. The early crowd was the usual mix: hospital workers from UCSD Medical Center grabbing caffeine before their shifts, runners fueling up after laps around the park, and the neighborhood regulars who treated the corner table like their personal office. Karen Mitchell had been working the morning shift for 3 years, always punctual, arriving at 5:15 a.m. to prep the store before the 5:30 opening. At 52, with graying hair pulled back in a messy bun and reading glasses perpetually sliding down her nose, she looked like someone's grandmother who needed the job for health insurance, which wasn't entirely wrong. "Morning, Slow Karen," called out Marcus, one of the regulars, as he walked in at 6:45 sharp. He'd given her the nickname in her first month when she took 5 full minutes to make his cappuccino. He meant it affectionately now, but Karen still flinched internally every time she heard it. "Morning, Marcus." The usual. Her voice was soft, measured. Everything about her was measured these days. "You know it. Extra shot. No foam." He dropped a 5 in the tip jar, watching as her hands trembled slightly while pulling the espresso shot. "You okay? Hands seem worse today." "Just the cold," Karen lied smoothly, steadying her grip. The tremor wasn't from age or illness. It was from years of holding a rifle steady in 120-degree heat, from nights when the only thing between her team and death was her trigger finger. The doctors called it an essential tremor. She called it muscle memory that wouldn't quit. The morning rush hit around 7:30. The line stretched to the door. Nurses, students from nearby San Diego State, young professionals heading downtown. Karen worked steadily, each drink crafted with the same precision she'd once applied to much deadlier tasks. Her partner that morning was Tyler, a 22-year-old film student who spent more time talking about his screenplay than steaming milk. "Karen, you're like so zen," he said, watching her work. "Nothing rattles you." If only he knew. At 8:17 a.m., everything changed. The man who walked in wasn't a regular. Hood up despite the warming morning, sunglasses indoors, hands jammed in his pockets. Karen's body recognized the threat before her conscious mind did. Her stance shifted subtly, weight balanced, exits mapped, potential weapons cataloged. The scissors by the register, the hot water from the espresso machine, the glass coffee pots. "Welcome to Starbucks," Tyler chirped. "What can I get started for you?" The man pulled out a pistol. "Everything in the register. Now." Screams erupted. Customers dove for cover. Tyler's hands shot up, coffee grounds scattering across the counter. The mother with 2 kids in the corner pulled them down behind a table. Marcus dropped his laptop, frozen mid-typing. "Now!" the gunman shouted, waving the weapon. "Fill the bag." Tyler fumbled with the register, hands shaking so badly he couldn't work the keys. The gunman grew agitated, the pistol swinging wildly between Tyler and the cowering customers. "I said now." I'm trying." Tyler was crying now, jabbing at buttons. Karen stepped forward. "Tyler, step back. I'll handle the register." Her voice had changed. Gone was the soft-spoken barista. This voice had commanded operations in places where coffee shops were luxury dreams. The gunman's attention swung to her. "Hurry up, Grandma." Karen moved to the register, but her eyes weren't on the keys. They were reading him. Right-handed, gun held too high, stance unbalanced. Nervous, This was probably his first armed robbery. Desperate, not professional. The safety was still on. "Sir," she said calmly, "the register takes a moment to open. While we wait, would you mind pointing that away from the customers, especially the children?" "Shut up and open it." Karen's hands had stopped shaking entirely now. Time slowed the way it always did before action. She could hear her old instructor's voice. In close quarters, action beats reaction. Control the weapon. Control the fight. She pressed the register key. The drawer popped open with its familiar ding. The gunman leaned forward slightly, eyes flicking to the cash. That was all she needed. Her left hand swept up, pushing the gun hand high while her body rotated inside his reach. The scissors from the counter found her right hand without conscious thought. The gunman had a split second to register surprise before Karen's elbow connected with his solar plexus, driving the air from his lungs. The gun clattered across the floor. Karen kicked it toward the back room while using the gunman's own momentum to drive him face first into the counter. The scissors pressed against his carotid artery, not breaking skin, just present. A reminder. "Don't move," she said quietly. "That's your carotid. You'll be unconscious in 4 seconds if I apply pressure. Dead in 12. Neither of us wants that." The entire takedown had taken less than 5 seconds. "Tyler," she said, without looking away from the prone gunman, "call 911. Tell them we have a 211 in progress. Suspect detained. Request immediate response but no sirens. We don't want to panic the rest of the shopping center." Tyler stood frozen, mouth open. Tyler. Now. He scrambled for the phone. Karen maintained her position, one knee in the gunman's back, scissors steady. Her breathing was controlled even. Around her, customers began to emerge from cover, phones out, recording. "Ma'am," the gunman wheezed, "please, I just needed money. My kid's sick." "I'm sorry about your child," Karen said, and meant it. "But this wasn't the way. Now stay still. The police will be here soon." "How did you... What are you..." Before Karen could answer, Marcus stood up from behind his table. His laptop was forgotten, his usual joking manner gone. He was staring at Karen with something between awe and recognition. "Chief Mitchell?" His voice was barely a whisper. "Chief Petty Officer Karen Mitchell, SEAL Team 4? Karen's jaw tightened. "You're mistaken." "No." Marcus stepped closer, his own military bearing suddenly evident. "USS Bonhomme Richard, 2012. You pulled 3 Marines out of a burning lav in Helmand. I was one of them." His voice cracked. "My God, I didn't recognize you without... Holy shit, Chief. What are you doing here?" "Making coffee," Karen said flatly. "And it's just Karen now." The police arrived in 4 minutes. Good response time for San Diego PD. They took the gunman into custody while Karen gave her statement with the same economy of words she'd once used in after-action reports. Just the facts, no elaboration. But the damage was done. The customers' videos were already uploading. Starbucks Barista Takedown was trending within an hour. By noon, someone had matched Marcus's audio to military records, and the headlines changed. Navy SEAL Barista stops armed robbery. Karen finished her shift. That was what you did. Complete the mission. Secure the objective. Continue operations. But her hands were shaking again as she cleaned the espresso machine, and this time it wasn't from old muscle memory. Karen. The district manager, Patricia, appeared in the back room. "Are you okay? Do you need to go home? Take some time." "I'm fine." That was incredible, terrifying, but incredible. The news wants a statement. Corporate wants to know if you'll talk to them. The police said you might get a commendation. "No." Karen pulled off her apron. "No statements, no interviews, no commendations. I just want to make coffee." Patricia studied her. "Marcus said something about the SEALs. Is that true? Were you really..." "I need to go." Karen drove home to her small apartment in North Park, hands gripping the wheel to stop the shaking. The adrenaline was wearing off, leaving behind the familiar hollow feeling she'd hoped to never experience again. Inside, she poured 3 fingers of bourbon, a habit she'd picked up from her husband, and sat on the couch staring at nothing. The photos on the mantel stared back. Her SEAL team in Afghanistan, faces painted, gear loaded, young and invincible. Her husband David in his dress whites, that crooked smile that had made her fall in love over MREs in a forward operating base. Their wedding photo, 2 warriors who thought they could survive anything together. David had been gone 3 years now. Not from combat, they'd both survived that. The enemy that got him was microscopic, insidious. Pancreatic cancer didn't care about his Bronze Star, or his sniper qualification. It killed him in 6 months, leaving Karen alone with memories and a spouse's pension that barely covered rent in San Diego. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Chief Mitchell? A woman's voice, young, nervous. I'm Sarah Conway from Channel 8 News. We'd love to interview you about this morning's incident. Your story is inspiring. Karen hung up. The phone immediately rang again. Different number. She turned it off. But the world wouldn't let her hide. By evening, her apartment complex was surrounded by news vans. Her landlord called, stressed and apologetic, asking if she could talk to them so they'd leave. The Starbucks corporate number left 4 voicemails about supporting their hero partner. Karen sat in the dark, bourbon warm in her chest, and remembered why she'd wanted to disappear in the first place. The next morning, she arrived at work to find the parking lot full. Not just with customers, with veterans, women mostly, some in civilian clothes, some in old unit shirts. They stood in loose formation, coffee cups raised as she walked past. "Chief," one called out. A young woman, maybe 30, with a straight-backed posture of recent service. "Former HM2 Rodriguez. Just wanted to say thank you. For everything." Karen nodded, unable to speak past the lump in her throat. Inside, Tyler had decorated her station with a hand-drawn sign. Hero Barista. She took it down. "Karen," Patricia rushed over. "I'm so glad you came in. Listen, corporate understands you want privacy, but they'd like to do something. Maybe a donation to a veterans charity in your name?" "I just want to work." "Of course, but—" Patricia gestured helplessly at the crowd. "They're all here for you." The line stretched out the door. Not just the usual morning rush. Veterans, active duty from the naval base, civilians who'd seen the news. Each one wanted to shake her hand, say thank you, share their own story. Karen made their drinks with mechanical precision, nodding at their words without really hearing them. Then she saw her, a young woman in a wheelchair, maybe 25, wearing an army t-shirt. Both legs ended at mid-thigh. She wheeled up to the counter with practiced ease. "Ma'am," she said quietly. "Specialist Jennifer Park. I was in Kandahar in 2011. Our convoy got hit. The report said a SEAL team fast roped in for the medevac." Her voice caught. "They said the medic was a woman. Small, dark hair, wouldn't stop working even when the shooting started. Saved 4 of us." Karen's hand stilled on the espresso machine. "That was you, wasn't it?" Park's eyes were bright with unshed tears. "You saved my life. I never got to say thank you." "You don't owe me anything," Karen said softly. "I owe you everything. I have a daughter now, 3 years old. She exists because you didn't leave me there." Park reached into her bag, pulled out a photo. A little girl with Park's eyes, laughing on a swing. "Her middle name is Karen. I didn't know your last name, but I knew your first." Karen took the photo with trembling fingers. The little girl was beautiful, alive, laughing. Alive because of a decision made in seconds under fire. She handed it back carefully. "What can I get you?" she asked, voice thick. "Just a regular coffee, but ma'am, thank you for being here. For showing us it's okay to be after." "After?" "After service, after loss, after the world changes and we don't fit anymore." Park gestured around the Starbucks. "You found a place. It gives the rest of us hope." Karen poured the coffee, waved away Park's money. As the younger woman wheeled away, something cracked inside Karen's chest. Not breaking, opening. The day continued, story after story. A Marine who'd been in her husband's unit, a Navy pilot whose rescue she'd coordinated, a Gold Star mother who just wanted to hug the woman who understood loss. By noon, Karen was exhausted, but something had shifted. Marcus showed up at 2 p.m. with a laptop and a determined expression. "I've been doing research," he said without preamble. "Do you know how many female veterans are unemployed? Homeless, struggling with transition?" Marcus, 30% higher unemployment than male vets. Higher rates of PTSD going untreated. Lower VA utilization because the system wasn't built for them. He spun the laptop around, showing statistics that made Karen's chest tight. "You could help. I make coffee. You saved my life. Twice now. Once in Afghanistan. Once by showing me it's possible to find purpose after." He leaned forward. "There's a non-profit here in San Diego, Veterans Community Living Centers. They need someone to run a women's program. Mentorship, job training, peer support. I'm not a counselor. You're a survivor. That's what they need." Marcus closed the laptop. "Think about it. Please." That night, Karen didn't go home. The media circus was still there, and she couldn't face the empty apartment. Instead, she drove to Fort Rosecrans National Cemetery, where David lay under white marble with thousands of other heroes. She sat on the grass beside his headstone as the sun set over Point Loma. "I broke cover today," she told him. "Did the thing. Saved the day. Now they all know." She traced his name with one finger. "Remember how we talked about after? What we'd do when the mission's ended? You wanted to teach. Said you'd corrupt young minds at the war college." A laugh that was half sob escaped. "I said I'd disappear, become nobody, just fade out." The wind off the Pacific carried salt and memories. But maybe that's not the mission. Maybe the mission is showing them it's possible, that we can be baristas and heroes, that our hands can shake and still be steady when it counts, that we can be broken and whole at the same time. She stayed until the cemetery closed, then drove back through the sleeping city. At her apartment, the news vans were gone, but something else waited, a small package on her doorstep. Inside was a challenge coin and a note. "Chief Mitchell, heard about your actions. Unsurprised. The teams remember their own. If you need anything, call. Admiral Patterson, Warcom." Karen held the coin, feeling its weight. For 3 years, she'd tried to disappear, to become just another civilian making lattes. But maybe that was the wrong mission. Maybe the mission was to be visible, to show other women veterans that there was life after service. That civilian didn't mean powerless, that you could honor the fallen by lifting the living. The next morning, she called Marcus. "About that nonprofit," she said. "Tell me more." "You'll do it?" "I'll talk to them. But I'm keeping the Starbucks job. Part-time." "Why?" Karen smiled, the first real smile in years. "Because sometimes the mission is just making someone's day better, one cup at a time. And because that's where they'll find me, the ones who need to know it's possible." 6 months later, Karen stood in front of a room full of women veterans at the Veterans Community Living Center in Mission Valley. Some were fresh from service, still wearing their pain like armor. Others had been out for years, lost in a civilian world that didn't know what to do with female warriors. "I'm not here to tell you it's easy," she began. "I'm not here to say the nightmares stop or the memories fade, or that you'll stop checking corners in grocery stores. I'm here to tell you that you can build something new without forgetting what you were. That warrior doesn't vanish. It evolves." She still worked at Starbucks 3 mornings a week. Still made perfect lattes with hands that sometimes shook. But now, when young veterans came in, lost, searching, invisible, they found her. Word spread through the community like a good intel report. The barista at Hillcrest, who gets it. The gunman from that morning pled guilty, got probation and counseling. Karen testified on his behalf, asking for treatment over prison. Sometimes people break, she told the judge. That doesn't make them worthless. It makes them human. Tyler still called her a slow Karen, but now it was with deep respect. He'd written his screenplay about that morning, but changed the ending. In his version, the hero Barista opened a coffee shop that employed only veterans. Fiction, but Karen liked the idea. Maybe someday. For now, she had two missions: serve coffee and serve those who'd served. Both required precision, patience, and the ability to see people others overlooked. Both were worth doing well. On quiet mornings, when the fog rolled in from the Pacific and the first customers hadn't arrived yet, Karen would stand behind the counter and practice her breathing exercises. Not to control tremors or manage anxiety, but to center herself for the day ahead. Because every cup of coffee was a small victory. Every veteran who walked through her program was a life reclaimed. Every day she chose to be visible instead of vanishing was a win against the darkness that wanted her to disappear. She wasn't Chief Petty Officer Mitchell anymore. She wasn't an operator, or a medic, or a warrior in the traditional sense. She was Karen, barista, mentor, survivor. And that was exactly who she needed to be. So now I ask you, how many warriors walk among us in civilian clothes? How many women who've served pour your coffee, teach your children, or pass you on the street without recognition? Tell me in the comments where you're watching from, and if you know a female veteran fighting her own battles in silence. Because at Silent Valor Stories, we believe every warrior deserves recognition, whether they wore their uniform in combat or wear an apron in a coffee shop. Heroes don't always look like heroes. Sometimes they look like tired baristas with trembling hands and perfect aim. Thank you for watching. If this story moved you, subscribe and share it. Help us remind the world that female veterans aren't just statistics or stereotypes. They're the women who save lives before sunrise and make your latte with the same precision they once applied to much deadlier tasks. Until next time, look closer at the women serving you. You might be standing in the presence of a hero, and to all the Karens out there, we see you. Your service mattered then. Your survival matters now. Semper Fi, sisters. The watch continues.